All right. Since we have a quorum and it's 7 o'clock, we will go ahead and just start the meeting. Good to see everybody. See some people are still joining. We got, hi, Mark. Who is iPhone? Susan Cooper. No.
Sorry if you meant the other Mark. Sorry if I waved on your behalf, Mark.
Oh, yeah, no. Oop, iPhone left. Okay. Here's Carrie. Okay. So, welcome everybody for our monthly meeting. So good to see some people. Some of you I saw more recently this weekend. We had a very busy weekend with Portland Marathon and the race director workshop. It was a good time. And I have to say that Portland Marathon, Daryl was the person in charge of the expo, and he says, we'll try to get you an aid station next year. Okay, no problem. And I do have to say there's a very fun story. It's going to be in the e-newsletter. Did I forward it to you guys? I don't think I did. One of the gentlemen who got a raffle prize for a free Portland Marathon entry at the member picnic, it was his motivation to get training and everything. And he emailed me and sent me a certificate, and he qualified for Boston based on entering Portland Marathon. So he was very happy and thankful that we did this, and was appreciative of all that we do. So
that's exciting.
A great story. So.
Awesome.
All right. So go ahead and get this meeting started. And first thing we need to do is, we need to answer her phone because that's probably our parents. First thing we need to do is approve the minutes from the September meeting. Did everybody get a chance to read them? And I don't think, were there any updates or corrections, Deb?
You need to search YouTube for Taskmaster Season 18.
Okay, so there were no corrections sent to her. So I would welcome a motion to accept the minutes from September. Susan Cooper.
I move that we accept the minutes from the September meeting.
Okay. Is there a second? Need a second?
Second.
Okay, so Mark Barrett seconds it. All right. All in favor of approving the September minutes, raise your hand or say aye. All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes. Minutes are accepted or approved. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Debbie, you want to go ahead and start in on the finances?
Yes, let me get my screen. One moment. There it is. Okay. Cash and investments, we can see here, and thank you, Deb, for putting those also in the agenda. One correction there, Deb, if you look at the Raymond James investments, we did not have the statement at the time when I sent the these numbers to the board last week. Since then, we do have the statement from Raymond James, so that's a corrected number there on the cash and investments. It still represents a good cash flow for us, and so we're very much in the black. If we want to look at the budget here, we can see that we're just, the investments, the markets have been good this year, so our investments are doing well.
Wow.
I know, great. Member dues, we're right on track with the member dues for this time of year, really well there. Then the race income. Again, the numbers change according to late bills that come in or things that we pay. But if you look at the bottom line of race income versus expenses right now, we are still positive. However, there's a lot going to happen between for Turkey Trot. Hopefully that will keep us, all the race income for Turkey Trot will keep us in the black. But if not, we look at that kind of budgeting for next year and adjust accordingly. And I think that we'll be meeting soon, right? To discuss more budgeting for next year. And so race directors have been talking to me about what kinds of expenses and income different races have had over the years. If you don't have, I think I hopefully sent to all race directors the race spreadsheet sheet that I did. Let me see if I can bring it up here. This one. This goes for all the races. If you look at the bottom here, here's the income for all these years and different race expenses. So if you are a race director or potential race director, and you don't have this document called Races 2020 to 2024, please let me know and I will share it with you or share it with you again. Let's go back, oops. Back to here. Okay, I think that, again, we haven't had very many expenses in the last few months, so we're the same, right around the same. Our social runs are a bit over budget now, but we've chosen to do that with the addition of the extra run. Again, we have the cash flow to accommodate that. And so that's basically what has been going on. I have not heard anything from the IRS in a very long time, even though we check that regularly. So when I first started or took over as treasurer, there was the outstanding fee penalty, and we haven't heard anything about that, including a notice that we need to pay it. So right now I'm hoping that no news is good news on that front. And we haven't either heard of our 501c3 certificate yet, but we'll get that. Hopefully that will come along. Okay, so I think that's the rundown here. Does anyone have any questions or any comments?
I do.
I did have a question for you about you were going to put together a finance committee to see what we wanted to do with our investments. Just check in. Do you have anything with that one?
I have not. I haven't had that on my front burner, but that will happen in the front burner because we want to do that before this end of the year, before the new fiscal year starts.
Okay. And I will probably want to work with you. Before you kind of look at stuff and kind of come up with some estimates. So I know that the race directors are submitting their budgets to me by the end of this month, and I would like to have us kind of put together the rest of the budget too, so that we have a whole thing ready to present in November, if possible.
That'd be great. I think we can do that.
Okay.
And not to brag or nothing, but more of a leading by example. For my 3 races, not including Turkey Trot, my other 3 races, I have submitted my budget. So with a great deal of help from Debbie and a little bit of detective work, but my budgets are done. So all you RDs out there, I'm done. How about you?
So that raises a very interesting question. So I would benefit from having that spreadsheet that you just posted for the race directors. I haven't seen that. I have reached out for Pumpkin Ridge. I've not heard back from Hal or Eric. I'm trying to determine if anything has been submitted. I'm trying to figure out how to plug into that process. So I'm assuming you haven't received anything at this point.
Have not. So if you want to get something from Debbie and take that on, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank
Carrie,
you.
if you share your email right there in the chat, then I'll just send it to you.
Okay. I'll do that right now.
Share it
Thank
with
you. Okay.
Valerie?
Oh, 2 things real quick. Debbie, you mentioned.
I'm sure I have your email, but maybe I need.
Okay. Yeah, Valerie?
Debbie mentioned that thing with the IRS, and our 990 was submitted timely, but the person that filed it checked that we were not a 501c3, a different type entity. So there was just a mistake on it. So hopefully that's the end of it, but who knows? And then, this is a confession. I still have expenses for Best Damn Run to submit to Debbie. So we will have a profit, but it won't be as nice as it looks right now.
That's fine. Okay. All right. That's the treasurer's report. And also you did make a note that we got that refund for the food from the banquet. So that was great.
Right.
Every little bit helps. Talking about Best Damn Run, wanted to talk about, I'll kind of go into the race director workshop a little bit. We had 11 people register. One person didn't show, but then one person came. So we had 11 people who hadn't pre-registered. And 2 of them were Tyra and Liam, who was her son. and she is super interested in taking on Best Damn Run. And there was another lady from Estacada who couldn't make the race director workshop, but she wants to do the one in March, and they were possibly going to team up to be co-race directors. And I told her to wait until after the race director workshop, kind of gather information, see what you felt about it. And over the course of the workshop and then afterwards, she says, I'm in, I really want to do it. So you talked
I talked with her. She hadn't, aside from some initial communication with the other second lady, Melanie, she had not confirmed with Melanie that she was going to do it. She said she doesn't care even if Melanie's just an assistant and helps her, she still would like to be the RD and do it. So our question is, do we want to add Best Damn Run back to the schedule with a new RD, with possibly one new RD and assistance to that RD, not two RDs? Now, she also did say that she's had several people in Estacada come to her and say they will help her because they don't want to lose the event.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
she has been talking with other people in Estacada, not to be co-RDs with her, but to help support the run.
And of course, she's in
I-
Estacada, so.
Yeah, and I would also comment just for the group that after the volunteer piece of it, the Estacada High School provided probably, I think it was 21 volunteers. And they commented specifically after the event that they had heard that it may be going away, and they were sad about it, and they were interested in continuing to volunteer. So, that to me seems like a positive thing for the race, and we would want to get to them early to let them know. So
yeah, and Tyra and her son said that the sports teams at Estacada High School, where the cross country team couldn't volunteer because they had a meet that day. But she said there's a lot of other teams and organizations at Estacada High School who want to volunteer for the Best Damn Run. There's competition to who would volunteer for it. So I think there's support from the community at this point.
And to add to that too, I had a long conversation with Melanie, and she's in too. I mean, whatever role that looks like. I think we've got 3 motivated people willing to be RDs, and we got the support of the community. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and make a motion that we add the Best Damn Run back to our 2025 calendar. Date to be determined. After
Also, regarding the date,
yes.
when I talked with Tyra, she said she just would like to copy and paste everything, keep it the same weekend, just do everything exactly the same.
Including keeping the half marathon?
Yes.
All right.
I would also add just a comment at the Portland Expo this weekend. There were probably two, if not 3 people at separate times that came up and said, hey, we're familiar. Hey, we heard you weren't going to be doing the Best Damn Run again. And they were disappointed. So I was a little surprised by that, but I thought I would pass that along.
Also, I was quite surprised by the volume of people who were running the half marathon. I think that there's just a lot of desire in the running community to have more half marathons. And so I think it'd be cool if they kept the half as well as the 10K.
Yeah,
That's great, but we did only have 38 people run the half marathon.
Well, the problem was the date. The original date that we had set was a different date than Run with Paula, or with a hippie chick.
No, it's the Beaverton
May.
Half Marathon is the
Half
same
Marathon.
date. Last year, I tried to be really careful to do it on. I waited for her to post the date of that.
Yeah.
Put it on a separate weekend, and then she changed her date after the fact. So
Exactly. So I think that's why
it's kind of tough. And I don't think it was out to get us. I think it's just their circumstances. But I think it's such a different. I mean, it's one of my favorite races. And it's such a different feel from the Beaverton. There's a lot of events going on that time of year, and we still got almost 300 people out there. So I think, and that's without really advertising in the community. So
okay, before we have any more discussion, let me just say Mark made a motion. We haven't had a second yet. So does anybody want to second his motion?
I will second his motion.
Okay, so Valerie seconded. Okay, so now we can continue the discussion if we have any more.
Okay. The thing I wanted to say is, and I don't know if Mark's on board with me, but I would be glad to help if somebody's doing all the heavy lifting of helping to guide them and helping them, probably, especially the finish line area. And then like, if Mark's willing to kind of help with I kind of know the course, but if we could
Yeah.
guide them through it the first year, I think they'd have it down. And I know Ken would love to drive that gator again on the closed part of the course.
Yeah, for the record, I'm totally on to support them in any way necessary to keep this event going, you know, and if it's overall mentorship or specifically about the course, as I did this year, you know, whatever role I can serve, I'm willing to do that.
Cool. Want to vote? All right. Well, why don't we have a vote then? All in favor of adding Best Damn Run back to our 2025 calendar? Raise your hand or say aye. Hey, any opposed? All right, motion carries. We will add it back to the calendar and let them know.
Great.
Could you, because I have Tracy, because I have Melanie's email, I don't have the other emails. Could you send those to me?
Yeah, when I notify them that we've added it back, I'll copy you in so you have everything, all the information.
Yeah. So I will, if you are I'll continue the conversation with them as far as with 3 people involved, what the structure of leadership will be, talking about setting a date. You know, I'll take the baton at this point as far as now that the board has approved it being on the calendar. I, as VP of race operations, I'll take the baton at this point to figure out what's next, and we'll get back to the board as far as leadership, date, the whole bit.
Okay. And I will get them added to the race director group email too.
Cool. And of course, all the usual things they'll need, you know, ORRC email access and the whole bit. So all of that. Cool.
Okay.
Tracy,
Awesome.
besides Melanie, what's the other person's name? I missed that.
Tyra
It's Tyra, Tyra, and it's Baird, Baird. And I would say her son's name is Liam, Liam. He is not going to be a co-RD. He's just going to help his mom. So the co-RDs would be Tyra and Melanie.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so that's Best Damn Run. Okay, I had a request from St. Mary's School Auction, and we had already agreed we were going to do that. What I was going to do is just give them, because I haven't heard from different race directors or anything. What I was going to do is just give them like 5 generic ORRC coupons that would be good for 1 free entry to any of our events in the next calendar year. So that would make it easy. You don't have to worry about collecting coupons from different races. Just do that. So just wanted to give you that, because I think we talked about that last meeting. I'm gonna give away 3, right? Okay. And then I also received Northwest Academic Gala Auction, which is a school. Where are they? They were wondering if we would be interested in donating to our annual gala fundraiser. Northwest Academy is a progressive, independent middle and high school located in downtown Portland. Our hope is to inspire students to learn, achieve, and find their voice through our unique arts and academic partnerships. Here's what I'm concerned with is that we don't really have a relationship with this school like we have had with other ones, like St. Mary's has volunteered for us in the past and things like that. And I don't know if we want to be giving race entries to every single high school that's having an auction, or do we want to do that? I didn't know what you guys thought about donating to multiple requests like this. So what do you all think?
Is it?
I
It's not
think
for a sports program. It's just like in general
No.
for the school.
No, not a sports program thing. Susan?
I think that we should consider it because we haven't been plagued by dozens of schools asking for it. And maybe this would be the only one we hear from. Who knows? And I think donating a race entry is a way to get people to be exposed to ORRC.
That's true.
So
I don't know. I'm in agreement with Tracy because I think if there should be some kind of a relationship there, like if you know, if a club member was a teacher at that school or something like that, where, you know, that there would be some kind of a connection. I mean, it doesn't have to be like they need to devote hours and hours of volunteer service or something, but to my mind, there should be some kind of a relationship there. And if there is one, I am not aware of it. I could be wrong, but you know.
It would behoove, I mean, I've done school auctions before. I bet a bunch of us have done school auctions before. I'm sure Debbie has. And usually if you're writing a letter of request for a school auction, you will really highlight the relationship. So it is very possible that there's a parent or teacher at that school that is an ORC member. But if they didn't tell us, that's unfortunate. I still agree with Susan that I think it's good PR. Both of these schools happen to be private schools that are quite expensive.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth, it's not necessarily a needy public school. So it's a slightly different audience, but it's still great PR. It could also just be a $50 voucher.
Yep. Valerie?
We had discussed in the past, and maybe we never just made a decision, but I thought we were going to switch to only doing these donations once or twice a year, not so we're like kind of watching.
This is different from the community grant program.
Okay.
That's a twice. This would just be providing some free race entries. It wouldn't be providing actual money. So.
The other thing about school auctions is frequently people are the high bidder or the person who gets the auction item and maybe don't even use it.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, this is for sure going to cost us $70 to do this. It isn't for sure going to cost you $70 to do it. It's just going to be possible that someone will cash it in and have a free race. I mean, maybe it's a 50% probability, maybe it's a 70%, but it's not for sure.
Joel? Joel, you're on mute.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think it's like pretty good way to get the name out, you know, and same thing, you know, we've all gone to these school auctions and, you know, I think it's sometimes, you know, you give them, you know, 2 free entries and then you end up getting kind of 4 people signing up for the race. And so, I mean, I think it could be a pretty awesome thing.
Okay. Okay, well, why don't I just go ahead and offer them the same thing we're offering St. Mary's, just offer 3 certificates that they can auction off, and if they use them, they use them. It's not like we're giving them real money. It's not like we're, and if we start getting more and more, we can, but I think you're right. I think it's mostly the expensive private schools who are holding these auctions. I don't think the public schools are really doing that, so. Okay.
Well, they do them. They just haven't identified us yet.
Yeah.
If it becomes an issue in the future, we might need to just revisit having a policy of just offering 1 free race entry per request, because 3 race entries is fairly generous.
What I could do is I could offer them just 1 instead of 3 because we don't have a relationship with them. Okay, I see some things up there. All right, we'll do that. Okay. Okay, this is for Deb Brown, proposed beneficiary for Hag Mud.
Julie, Tracy and Julie, do we need a motion for that last donation request?
Did we do one last month for St. Mary's? I don't remember if we did or not. I would welcome a motion if somebody would like to do that. What motion to provide 1 free race entry to the Northwest Academic Gala auction?
I'd do that.
Okay. See, Joel made a motion. Is there a second? Susan Cooper's seconded it. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, back to Deb.
Okay. So per our policy of wanting to review beneficiaries for races, I've been digging through the files and information for HagMud and planning for next year. It's coming up pretty fast. And last year, the beneficiary for the race was the Trail Mix Fund. They provide scholarships for people to have access to trail running events. And I think that they do specifically encourage for financial reasons and also to just provide access to help folks get into trail running who might not traditionally have felt welcomed in those spaces, like BIPOC runners and LGBTQIA+. So I wanted to just continue that tradition for right now, if that would be okay with the board. That would be that it's sort of a twofold. So one would be that people can give donations and it would go to the Trail Mix Fund. Last year, also, it said, do you want to donate your volunteer hours to the Trail Mix Fund? I don't know how that worked. I might need some feedback on that, whether it was that we donated in addition to the Trail Mix Fund if people said that they wanted to donate their $50 volunteer voucher.
I think what happened, because I remember that question on when I volunteered, the volunteer credit didn't go to the Trail Mix Fund. It went to the ORRC Pay It Forward Fund.
Okay, then I need to change the language on that.
Okay.
So because the current language says the Trail Mix Fund.
Okay.
So that would be confusing. Okay, so I will update that. And then the last thing is that they are actually providing scholarships. So we're partnering with them. And I didn't want to really change anything this year, but next year we could consider whether we want to just do that all internally. I didn't want to handle having to get scholarship requests this year. It was too much for me.
Awesome.
They have a nonprofit structure where they have like a board and they have a scholarship process and try to equitably just the funds. So I figured we just take the funds in if people have donations and we channel them toward the Trail Mix Fund, and then they provide the scholarships, and hopefully we'll raise more money for them than we will have racers asking for money from them. So anyway, that's my proposal, that would be our beneficiary for HagMud.
Okay. So for those of you who don't remember, right now the default is our Community Outreach Fund, and she would be changing it from the Community Outreach Fund to the Trail Mix Fund.
And actually, it's not a default because it's an ultra sign up, so it's a totally
sign up. So that's right. Not I haven't done it there. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was the first?
Mark was the first.
Oh, okay. Mark was the first. Who was the second?
No, Mark Barrett was the first.
Isn't it Deb's motion?
It's Deb's motion. Oh, Deb's motion.
Oh, I made the motion? No, I brought it up for discussion. I'm not making the motion.
Valerie seconded.
That's what I thought.
Mark made the motion, Valerie seconded. All right. All those in favor of approving this beneficiary fund, raise your hand. All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes.
Oh, can I just throw in a quick note about the Pay It Forward Fund? Each races on your volunteer should have volunteer questions and ask them, what do you want to do with do you want your $50 coupon, or do you want to donate it back to the Pay It Forward Fund? So each event should have that question to their volunteer. And the second part of it as a race director is use that at your discretion. I'll give a quick example for me. I got it. Somebody emailed the Turkey Trot account and said, hey, I'm signed up for the Turkey Trot, but my sister and her daughter, I think, would love to do it, but they can't afford to do it. Can you give me some free entries? And I said, no problem. And that's exactly what the Pay It Forward Fund is for. That you may get people who, for whatever reason, be it financial or whatever, to say, hey, I'd love to do this. I can't afford it. As a race director, use your discretion. Don't go crazy and give it to 100 people. But, if someone asks for it, that's exactly why we have it, is that situation with the Turkey Trot, for people who money's kind of tight, but they still want to do it. That's exactly what it's for.
How
And
does
I will
that,
say,
how does that overall get tracked though, in terms
that's
of?
what I was just gonna ask,
Yeah,
to specify, because
Well,
Deb
the
had
way-
a really good question at the Portland Marathon, because
yeah.
if one event has like 5 people donate funds,
Mhm.
their volunteer credit to the fund, it doesn't mean that those funds only go to that event. It's putting it into our
Correct.
general fund. Is that correct,
Yes.
Mark? Yes, that's what
That
I.
is correct, yeah. It just goes in the general pay it forward fund. And the way to track it is that when you are creating coupons for discounts, is create a PIF specific comp code. That's how we can track it. So don't, you know, because if you look at your thing, you know, you've got different, is it RD, you've got probably different codes for different things, and just have a PIF specific code, and that's how we track it.
So
And
how do we know how do we know? I don't know. Hopefully
well,
I'll
let
ask
me
this.
help you out here, Carrie, because I think I
Yeah,
know what
thank
your
you.
question is. When you download the list of people who have signed up and run sign up,
Mhm.
we've now added the question to every single race for when people register to volunteer. They have to answer the question, do you want to donate your credit?
Right.
And so if you download it as a spreadsheet, that question should show up there so you can see before you send out the volunteer code to everybody, which ones you don't have to send a code out to. And then you can just add up for that event, how many people donated this month, this much money would go into the fund.
Okay, that's helpful. But then on a global issue, I guess from an organization, how do we know with all the different races that we're doing, if a race director is offering a specific PIF code and then this race has one, how do we know we've not extended beyond what's in the bucket? Maybe that's not an issue, but I'm just curious
Well,
how it's tracked.
Here's what I would suggest. I would say every time you download the final results of volunteers, and so you have a count of how many people have donated, you get that information to Debbie, to the treasurer. So
Mhm.
she can keep a tally of how much is actually in the fund. And then in her treasurer's reports, we can
It's
let the race
offsetting.
directors know this is how much we have in our pay it forward fund right now.
Okay.
So don't go crazy and spend it all because it's meant for everybody, but that's kind
Yeah.
of a way to monitor the overall tracking.
Okay. All right. Helpful. Thank you. Thanks.
If we're gonna do that, do we need to be accurate so that, like if I'm a board member and I volunteer, technically I don't earn a race credit because I get all the races free. Like, what level of accuracy are we needing for this, I guess is the question. I don't, it's not like we're gonna get audited. It's all internal.
Because I send the volunteer code, by the way, and then Deb and I talked about this at the expo. I'm sending that code to everybody that volunteered, although not everybody on that list needs the code. So
Right.
it feels like I need to take those people off that don't need the code so that it's really going only to those people that,
Correct.
yeah. Okay. So I'll adjust what I'm doing.
And for an example, because I always use as race directors and board members get free entry into any ORRC event. So I don't need to use a volunteer code.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I volunteer, I'm going to be donating my credit into the Pay It Forward fund. So I'm earning this volunteer credit, and I'm also getting free entry if I'm running the race. I'm very rarely running the race anymore. I'm usually volunteering, but
Mm-hmm.
there are two different things that you're using. One is the code
Right.
to enter an event, and the other is I'm going to give up my volunteer credit because I volunteered at the event.
But is it assumed that everybody that's eligible for a free race entry, a board director, is it assumed or tracked somewhere that that's going against PIF or no?
Well, the free race entry is not tied to the PIF.
Okay. All right. Those are two separate. Those are not
They're
getting.
totally separate things.
Got
Yep.
it. Okay. All right. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Daniel has a hand up.
Daniel?
So are we still giving free entries to board and race directors to all races?
Yes.
I thought we ditched that when we went through the bylaws because we didn't want to create a special class.
No, that
No.
was free membership, not free race entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not do free membership and we did not do stipends, but we kept the free entry for board members, race directors, and coordinators.
Okay.
All right.
Next up, recap of events. Valerie, best damn run.
Best damn run. We had the greatest weather ever. I have a cold, so you have to excuse me. Everything went as planned until the day before the race, and then we have a gator we get for the closed off part of the course, and they did deliver it, and they delivered it right in front of the PGE hydro station, and PGE saw it and put it behind their gate and locked it. So that took a little work to get that back. And then we got a call from the porta potty guy because they didn't provide the map to the driver, so he was about 6 miles away and lost, but it all worked out. It all worked out. So there were some little glitches, but it all worked out. And I have to say that well, I'm gonna call out people like Bonnie and Mark and Hal and Deb was out there, and we had, and Jeff Weirman, and of course the twins, but we had so many good experienced volunteers. And then the girls and boys soccer teams from Estacada, they were probably the best volunteer kids we've had. And I've had some great scout groups in the past, so it's saying a lot that we had so much. And I think people had a good time. And when I got back, all the food was gone, so apparently that went over well too.
I had cake. All right, thank you. Portland Marathon Expo, and Alan just joined us. That's awesome. I got a good feedback from him. The expo went really well. It was only one day versus Shamrock was 2 days, and gave away all of the excess clothing that we had, all of the ORRC brochures. Alan was rationing the brochures because we ran out. So he wanted to keep the one with a QR code, people could photo it. And they were just slammed from the moment. But it sounded like it went really, really well. We were a part of, because of our previous relationship with Portland Marathon, they let us do the Expo Passport program for free, which meant that people were directed to our booth. And if they had the Passport app on their phone, we would give them a code and they would enter that into there. And then we're giving away 5 free race entries at random, a raffle, to all those people who stopped by our booth. So Portland Marathon will send us a list of everybody who stopped by our booth, and we can download it, add it to our database, and we'll raffle off those entries and stuff. And Alan, my question to you, and I guess to Deb as well, and Carrie, you had 2 people there and you were slammed. Was 2 enough? Do we need to have 3 people there, or would that be too crowded?
3 would be nice, because the 3 allows 2 people to work up front and 1 in back. 2 is passable. I'd say the heaviest time for me was probably about 9:30 until noon. Carrie, how was it later in the day? Because you arrived at 1.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that 3 would be great. I think that at the point in time that we were doing, so I started at 1, I went from 1 to 5, and then Deb, I think you were there from 3 to 5. I felt like 2 was doable, but it was busy. I mean, we were consistently busy. So I think 3 would be great.
Okay.
But my guess is that the morning was probably a busier time at the expo in general. So I think that the morning time was probably slammed a little bit more. When I got there, it was a sea of people, and then it started to trail off into that 5 o'clock hour. The whistles were very popular. I mean, it was ridiculous what people were spinning. The spin the wheel was great. People saw it from a distance and wanted to walk up and spin the wheel. Hopefully we'll see something come from all that. But pens, not so exciting. The bandanas from Dave's solstice run they're gone, but the whistles were like the big hit. And I'm sure that, I think Deb and I probably would agree that there were many parents probably not terribly happy on the ride home with all the whistles their kids were blowing. But those were really popular. People loved them. So
I was thinking that for swag, I mean, cowbells might be great if it's not too
Mhm.
expensive. If we did cowbells in the future, I think it would be super popular if we
Yeah.
put ORC on it, and that's something people will hang on to, and then they'll be reminded of us.
Yeah.
I also went to the storage units and saw what we have left from old swag stuff for HAG, and I have a ton of like the old logo stickers and stuff, so we can get rid of those at Shamrock because they're not
Yeah.
current stuff.
Yeah, it was busy though. I mean, it was consistently busy. There was never a time where we never had people at the booth, and sometimes there was a lineup of people waiting to spin the wheel. That thing was, I've just never seen anything like it.
And if we want to invest something more, and this was something that neither Carrie nor Deb saw, am I echoing?
A little bit.
Sorry, because I only have the one on. If we want to invest in more extra small and double X small t-shirts, they were all gone by the time Carrie got there. I started out with, I think, 12 small and 12 extra small, or 12X and 12 double X small. The parents absolutely loved them. And they went. We rationed them a little bit, but every time we had a parent with little kids, we said, would you like one of these shirts? And their eyes just glazed over. I mean, it was beautiful. I don't know how cheap we could get an extra small turkey trot shirt, but those made so many people happy.
Well,
as opposed to the whistles, which the parents listened to, and some of the parents cringed over the whistles.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It would be interesting though to see though how that translates to. I mean, there were some people that said that they were already members of the club. They were familiar with ORRC, so that was kind of exciting. There were a few people that commented on Best Damn Run, which was like, okay, that was interesting. There was no clothing. So to what Alan was saying, there was no clothing when I got there at 1 o'clock. I mean, it was just it was chapstick. What was it? Chapstick, whistle, pen, bandana, and we were pretty much letting them spin the wheel. And if they got chapstick, we would say chapstick or item of your choice, and then they basically got to pick what they wanted. But
what did the bandanas cost us as compared to a shirt?
They were about $3 or a little less, but they were multicolored.
Wow.
Could have done them cheaper.
And people also loved the bandanas.
They did. Yeah.
We started with so many of them, and they went very nicely. The socks they love. The gaiters went, but gaiters not so much. But the socks, and especially the bandanas.
Yeah.
And on the other thing, in Tracy and Julia's defense, what I said to them about the brochures going, when I started there, what I said to them was that we had a gazillion brochures. I could not believe how many brochures there were. And at 10
1 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there were 2 left.
Yeah.
The brochures.
And you made the correct decision to hold on to them so that they could scan them.
Yeah.
But I started rationing them at 10 o'clock, and we opened at 9.
Yeah.
So.
And Deb was the winner of the day because she showed up for her. I think it was the 3 o'clock shift, and she brought some of the metal coasters, the metals / coasters from Hague, and those were actually quite popular. I thought. I don't know how Deb felt about it, but it was great to have them because we just needed something extra there, and people were surprisingly excited about them. So, yeah, it was good.
They liked the fact that, they said like first place for the 50K on them, or third place. They were like the place awards that were extra leftover, but they're dated, so couldn't do anything with them. I'm like, yeah, you can just tell people you won the race, I guess.
Bragging rights. So
that's awesome.
That was good.
Great. All right. Well, the next expo is Shamrock in March, so we will be thinking of other things to order for that as well. And the RD workshop, I already talked about it, went really great. People had really good questions.
We had our first question about putting on dog-friendly events.
Dog-friendly
That was
events.
a first. That was a first. So
But yeah, otherwise it went really, really well, and people were very enthusiastic.
What was the answer? Because it's been a deal breaker for every permit I've ever tried to get.
Well, what we said is you need to talk about, because it's going to be a part of your permit, you have to see if the people who are issuing the permit will allow it, because they might not allow it, depending on where you are and all that type of thing. And sometimes you might be able to do it if you include certain provisions, like if you say, here are the rules. You have to have not a extendable leash, but a fixed leash no longer than 6 feet long and only one dog per person. So one person can't be handling more than one dog. The dog has to be in control at all times and must be able to get along with other dogs and people. So even if you have a 6 foot lead and, but your dog is an aggressive dog, put all of that in your provisos. But even then you might not get approved as your permit, depending on what you're trying to do. So, okay. So upcoming events. Mark, Turkey Trot. Oop, wrong
Sorry.
button.
Wrong one. What? Turkey Trot. See a check this morning. We're over. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And we're over 1,300, so we're more than halfway to filling our 2,500 person cap. The beanies have arrived. They're here. And so they're ready to be picked up. I got an email from Susan, the chocolate turkey lady. She says the price of chocolate's gone up, so she had to raise the price per turkey, but it still went from 85 cents each to $1.15 each. So it's still, still inexpensive, and it's something unique. So I think that's good. Volunteer positions, we are probably all of the lead volunteer positions are full, which is good for coordinating on the day of. And about half of the just regular positions are full as well. So I'm just feeling good about that. That we're getting people to run and walk, and we're getting volunteers to assist and all that. So it's just going well.
Great. Ralph's Run. And then Ralph's Run.
Permits are in. Run sign up is live, and
Registered. I'm registered. I'm the only one.
well, it's always kind of starts as a trickle. So, but everything's in place. And if you've not heard, like it's the last year, or excuse me, this year was the beanies. 2025 is going to be mittens, and those have been ordered. And then in 2026, it's going to be scarves. So it'll get your Ralph's Run winter trio thing. But that's been ordered. And I went to stop by Leslie Jordan, picked out shirts for Ralph's Run, and so that is also on schedule.
Okay. Cool. Susan?
Mark, did you get the permits for the route?
Of course I did. I learned from my mistakes. That's the sign of being a responsible adult.
Excellent.
Awesome.
On the other hand, totally unrelated. I watched Inside Out 2 on Sunday. If and I'm still laughing when I think about it. Sarcasm. The sarcasm. You get it? Anyway, I'm a mature adult. Sorry. I'm a mature adult.
Awesome. All right. Just very briefly skipping over, the business meeting is going to be our January meeting, just a reminder. And that's why we want to have the budgets done before then. Annual banquet's already set. We've already got the reservations made there and the food ordered, so that's all good. Deb, Hag Mud.
It's too bad you couldn't get the update, because we're having a meeting, an RD meeting after this meeting. So
That's fine.
More to report then, but I think Mark Barrett and Mark Fries got together and worked on the permits this weekend. Do you guys want to comment on that?
Yeah, with the input from Deb, I had a discussion with Mark about the process of applying for permits. And we also talked a little bit about race logistics as far, day of race logistics. More discussions to be had about that. But this very morning, I submitted both the permits, one to Washington County and one to Scoggins Valley Park. So both permits have been submitted. I did it this week, for 2025, I did it, but I walked Mark Freeze through the process, and I will give him copies of every document that I submitted so that he'll have something as a template to use for 2026. So, but the permits are on schedule.
Yeah, Mark B was amazingly helpful, walked me through every part of that extensive process, which I know most of you have been through before. So thank you, Mark, for that. I feel empowered to do it again next year. But thanks for taking care of that for us this year. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep. No problem.
I guess my update is that pending what we discussed tonight for our pricing for the race, registration is set to open October 15th. I delayed it from October 1st because we were not ready. And I'm in the process of getting quotes for t-shirts and beanies from Leslie Jordan. And I've updated the ORRC webpage and our ultra sign up description, but just like a few little details here and there. Things that big gaps are, we don't really have our communications plan for like emails, drafts of emails to send to racers, things like that. And also social media, like there's been zero presence on social media since February. So Carissa sent me an email today to update me on some of those processes. And I have a friend who volunteered to help draft some posts for me. So I might take advantage of that. Unless Mark, gets like really excited about doing that after we meet tonight. We'll find out.
Excited and skilled are two different things, but maybe we can find both.
Awesome. Okay. Other upcoming events. Well, there's the race director workshop March 1st, but not worried about that just yet. Valerie Shampooey.
Oh, Mark's got the permits. We just set it live this week. So, last week, right? So you had it at the last minute for handing out at the expo. We moved it toward a couple weeks later, the week after Shamrock instead of the week before Shamrock, because Shamrock's like seems to still be the big kickoff event in Portland. And it was suggested last year because the weather statistically gets increasingly better in March, and our big issue out in Shampooey is parking in that field, which can be a big puddle. So hopefully we're going to avoid that. And we're going to work on some kind of contingent plan, because last year, I know Ken and a couple people were giving people rides from what's that called? The Oak something? The next area over. There were people walking from over there, which was, just under a mile, but that's quite a walk before a race. So hopefully we could avoid that this year.
Vernonia, Mark.
And hang on one second, I was unmuting myself. And Valerie's schedule dependent. I can both announce for you if you'll have me, and I could even work for you a little bit the day beforehand if you're interested.
Oh,
so schedule dependent.
Oh yeah, it'd be great if we could have you as the announcer.
Yeah, I love that race.
Yeah, it's a great race. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right.
Vernonia, registration is live. That's about it. I mean, I put it out early because it's a marathon and people need to, sign up for it and train for it. So registration's out there, but as far as permitting and such, it's way too early to be doing that. It's same as last year. The marathon, half marathon, and the marathon relay. Something I want to do is to promote the marathon relay more. It was a good start for first year, but I think it definitely the one part of it that can grow. And so soon I want to come up with some ideas and so we can promote the relay as grow that part of the event. But not too much going on with that right now.
What's the date, Mark?
April 13th.
Okay, I'm not going to go through all of our lists, but I did want to just bring up the RRCA convention, just so people start thinking about it, about who we want to send next year. I thought that depending on how the election goes, the 3 people on the ballot this year are Valerie is going to be back on the ballot for renewal. Carrie is going to be running to join the board, and Kim Hartwell is going to be running to join the board. So we'd have 2 new board members. I know, Joel, you were not able to go last year, so I didn't know if we wanted to send Carrie, and if Kim is elected, Kim and Joel would be the 3. Valerie?
I have another suggestion. Is it okay to bring it up now?
Sure.
Okay, well, I think my suggestion would be Carissa, even though she's not on the board, she's our communications person.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot to be learned there for her.
Yep. I have Carissa, I have Joe, I have Randy, and Kim. Oh, also Adnan was supposed to go last year and then wasn't able to go. So I need to get in touch with Adnan because he hasn't attended the last couple of board meetings. So I want to make sure he's still kind of on board.
Might I ask where the convention is this year?
Minneapolis, which is why Mark is jumping in, because that's his home turf. So I'm really torn because on the one hand, you know, it would be fair to take turn. I can say new board members, people who have not been before, should have their first time going there, but there should be at least one person who's been to a convention for there to kind of lead the group. And I fulfilled that role this year as kind of the leader because I've been there before. Although when you have Deb and Debbie in the room, it's like, okay, I'm not in charge anymore. And I'm torn between wanting to give someone else an opportunity to go and wanting to go because, like I said, that's my home turf. I can visit my family. I can take everybody to the Mall of America. And
nobody wants that.
Everybody could meet my mom. I mean, no, it's anyway. But so I guess I would like to put my name in the hat as to going to convention as well for next year as to be the lead, you know, for first timers, but also for like I said, it's a trip home. So.
And we don't have to decide this right now. I just wanted to be people to be thinking about who they would want to attend. Historically, before last year, we would only send like 1 or possibly 2 people each year. And last year we made an investment because we had a lot of new board members. And I don't mind sending, and it was close. I don't mind sending more people. We just need to then include it in the budget if we're going to be consistently sending a larger group of people.
Yeah,
I think it's.
I would say it's a really valuable experience.
It is.
Like some of the people that are new taking on being race directors, like the chance to be able to network and learn about how to race direct. Like I was looking at different stuff last year, but you know, even if we considered whether we did partial scholarships for people who want to attend, but if the club can't afford to send everyone, like I would consider going again this year just to do more race director oriented things. I wish it were closer, but
what are the dates?
It's April 24th
through
the 27th. So Thursday through Sunday, April 24th through 27th.
Okay, thanks.
So be thinking about it. Think about if you would like to, if any of you would like to go, let me know. If you think other people should go, let me know their names and we'll compile a list and kind of see what we can afford based on our budget. We have a lot of expenses that we won't have in the next year, and we can always move some of that depending on how our income goes. We have options. Okay, I'm going to not worry about the rest of the list of upcoming events because they're farther on down the line, so don't worry about that. Just wanted to remind everybody that the topics for the next board meeting, we will be going over budgets to try to, and we won't necessarily finalize the budget till the December meeting, but I'll probably be presenting a proposed budget for everybody to look at, and if we can approve it, great. But if we that way we have time to finalize it before December. Also, at the next board meeting, we really need to start thinking about nominations for our awards for the awards banquet. So Julie and I will be calculating things like runner of the year and walker of the year and things like that. But things like volunteer of the year, that's not the one specifically tied to the one who volunteers the most, or the Kathy Weidkamp Award, or anybody wants Al Nakata Award, the Lifetime Award, if we want to do that. We don't have to give every award every year. Just be thinking about who you think deserves maybe to be recognized at the awards banquet, and bring that to the next meeting. And then I think we have finalized the board candidates. I haven't had anybody else come forward to nominate themselves or nominate anybody else. So I think it's just going to be those 3 people on the ballot. But if you do think of anybody.
What's the deadline?
For the December election, what I would like to do is have them finalized at the November meeting, because we have to put their information out on the web and in the newsletter so people get to know them when the ballot opens up in early December.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
I have 2 things real quick.
Yes.
One is goo, and I think we talked about this the last meeting, but I just want to reiterate it that since we are not permitted to have food and such at the storage unit, that my house will be the place where goo will be kept. And so to that end, I will also do bulk orders. That is, when I order it, we get it directly from the factory at a discount. I will order it in bulk for multiple races, and check in like shortly before, sometime before each race, check in with the RD, say how much you think you're going to need, and if I need to order more, I will do so along the way. So I will be the keeper of the goo. So I'll be ordering that soon for Ralph's Run and Hag Mud and that sort of thing. There's a little bit left over after Best Stem Run, but I will need to order more. Second thing, yeah, well, it all adds up. The other thing is I got a random email from a wholesaler who sells cups, and they were offering me a really good deal on drinking cups. And I don't know if I need to make a motion or not, but to run it by the board, if I should order, the disposable drinking cups in bulk and just order enough for the whole year, kind of a thing. Or if people think that's a good idea or not. I guess I need to find out if people think that's a good idea.
I would check with Jeff Weirman maybe, since he's the equipment manager, and see if he has an idea of how many cups we have. And
Okay.
I'm not opposed to ordering them for the year, as long as we have room. So.
Yeah. Because thing is, in the past, we get like whenever any event that is a ORRC championship gets free Gatorade, but also some cups to go with the event. And then you usually just kind of, popped into Costco or wherever and bought them in bulk. But, this is the thing. But I'll check with Jeff, and we'll figure out what the best way to do that. Cause like you mentioned, storage is an issue with that. If we get cups for the whole year, we need to show we have space for them. Or
So
maybe
really,
order twice a year or something or whatever.
So really interesting thing at the Marathon Expo. People didn't really know what the disposable cups were for. And when we told them, eventually they started taking them. But that was sort of what is this? So the word has not gotten around to the racing and walking community. Really, really interesting.
You mean Alan, you mean the reusable cups, not disposable?
Reusable, of course. That's what.
Yes, reusable.
Yeah, you know what I meant. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
And I think you're right, Alan. It is an education thing. I know for for trail running, being cupless, as they say, is the standard now for trail runs. Road running,
Mm,
there's still a lot of educating to do, and I think it's worthwhile to continue doing it. Just simply
absolutely. Yeah,
to offer
absolutely.
them to people, so here they are, and it gets them thinking about it, you know, but yeah, there's still road runners have some catching up to do, I think. But anyway.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Next meeting, anything else? Our next meeting is on November 12th. 7 o'clock. Daniel?
So I'm not quite clear on something. Am I expected to provide a budget for DSS and DD?
No, you're the new race director, should be doing that, but you might want to help them figure out what to do if Susie needs help putting her budget together for dual, and Randy might need help for solstice.
I'm just feeling like the solstice race is going to have a new dynamic if it's going to be on a weekend. The permits are like 4 times the cost. So, and then we're really hoping that this year too, in that same area, that there's a dead body back in the back in the woods like there was last time. We'll need to account for that as well. So,
Yes. Okay. All right. Then I know there's several of you are going to stay on because you want to talk about Hagmut after this. So Deb, you have co-host duties already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Melissa.
Awesome. No problem. So I will adjourn the meeting and see you all in November. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm sticking around.